You guys have probably seen those little folded pieces of papers in shapes of like animals or different shapes known as origami. But what exactly is origami? The basic definition of it is it's the art of paper folding known as origami. And that's all it basically is. And it may seem very simple at first, but it actually has a very rich and interesting history behind it. Origami is a Japanese word that comes from the words ori, which means to fold, and then kami, which means paper. And it's basically a neat type of art made by folding pieces of paper together to make a sculpture out of it. Now, your basic goal is to take a flat sheet of paper, and then using different techniques, and you basically make a structure out of it. Now, origami is known as being a Japanese art, but other cultures have been involved in paper folding, and so this possibly could have originated in other countries, not just in Japan. The exact origins of origami, they're unknown because paper degrades really quickly, which leaves very little evidence to suggest where it was invented or even who invented it. And according to the website origamiresource.com, paper was invented in China in the 1st century, and then it was brought to Japan in the 6th century. And written records of that time are very shaky, so it's unknown if it actually started in China or Japan. But one thing that we do know for sure is that Japan is where the art of origami became what it is today. That's where it evolved into the famous art form that it is today. Now, there used to be a bunch of different uses for origami, but the main purpose is as an art form. For example, the other uses that I was talking about were back in the day, like in the 1800s, origami butterflies were used during a celebration of weddings, and it kind of represented the bride and the groom, so it has a little bit of a symbolic meaning to it. Also, samurai warriors would exchange gifts adorned with a type of origami called noshi. And what that is, basically, it's a little piece of folded paper, and it's used as a good luck charm. And also, in the 1800s, origami was used by schools as a teaching tool in elementary schools. And what they did was they made neat little shapes out of it and used it as a geometric teaching skill or tool. Initially, when paper was first introduced into Japan, it was very expensive, so it wasn't available to the public. It was only used for formal functions. And there are 3 types of basic origami. The first one is called origami suki. And that's basically what it is. It's just a folded piece of paper that accompanies a gift, and it serves as a certificate of authenticity. And the second one is called the origami noshi. And that's what I was talking about earlier when the samurai warriors would exchange gifts. And that's basically a folded piece of paper. It accompanies a gift, and it's a good luck charm. And the third one is called an origami tsutsumi. That's basically just formal gift wrapping, and it's very simple, and it symbolizes sincerity and purity. And there are a bunch of different ways to make origami models. It goes from the really simple ones all the way to the ones that are extremely complicated. Obviously, simple ones only require a few folds, and they're really quick to make. And the complicated ones are, well, complicated, and they could take, hours, days. And any kind of paper can be used as long as it can hold a crease. Origami paper, they're sold in different sizes and different colors. Normally, the basic one is where, like, one side of the paper is colored and the other side is blank. But they do have ones where both sides are colored and they have different patterns on them to make different kinds of art. And as far as tools go, people usually believe that you shouldn't use any, but recently it's become a little less strict, and people use scissors and even tweezers to make the little delicate folds that would be really hard to do with your hands. So like I said before, some origami can be really easy and some of them can be really hard to make. I'm going to show you guys one that's very, very simple, and it only requires a couple of different steps. So what you need first is a square piece of paper, right? What you're going to do, you're going to fold it diagonally, just like this. So it's like a triangle, and then you're going to take the top corner and you fold it across so it hits this edge, and you're going to do the same thing with this. You fold this corner like this. So it looks like kind of like a pentagon. And then you've got 2 flaps at the top, you take one, fold it down, the other one you also fold down. And basically you just open it and you have yourself like a little cup. It's pretty simple, and this is actually pretty useful because you can hold water and stuff. So to kind of recap the whole process, you guys learned about the history of origami and the different types that there are and how to make one yourself. And again, origami may seem like a very simple thing and meaningless if you don't know much about it, but it's actually a very famous art form and it has a lot of cultural importance. Are there any questions?
What other
Yes.
countries is it popular in?
It's actually very popular in Spain and also in South America.
How many different things can you make with it?
You can make an infinite amount of things. It just depends on what you're going for. If your skill level, if you want to make something simple, you can make like a cup, or like the more complicated stuff like the animals and everything.
Has origami gone by any other name?
Yeah, it used to be called, well, origami, the name came about in the 1890s. Before that, it was referred to in a few different names, but the most common one was called orusuki.